Shabbat Shalom, everybody. Welcome to Pasadena Jewish Temple and Center. So delighted to have you celebrate Shabbat with us. Whether you're in the room or out there on the Zoom, you're in the right place. And I can hear myself talk, which was a slow down, John. You shouldn't be so fascinated by that. But last week, I appreciate everybody hanging in because it was kind of rough. I had a little bit of a laryngitis for this service. I'm mostly back. We'll see how the high notes go when we sing Shalom Aleichem. But I learned something very valuable, which I'll teach by way of parable. There's a teacher named Shlomo Carlebach who once said, if you want to be a good song leader, you should have a good voice, but not a great voice. Because here's the thing, if you have a great voice, nobody wants to sing with you. They just want to like sit back and listen to you sing, and they think they're going to ruin it, right? But if you have a little bit of hair on it, if there's just a little bit of a crack in your voice or it's not perfect, people like pity you and they want to jump in and sing with you to like lift it up. And so what I noticed last week, we had wonderful with Michelle and Cassidy Browning up here singing, which was great. But what I really noticed is your singing on Friday night and especially on Saturday. And it's like every time I got a little bug in there and I shut my mic off instead of coughing at you, I just could hear everybody lifting up their voices in song. And it was a beautiful, beautiful thing. And so I was thinking, maybe I'll make a threat. Maybe I'll say, tell you what, if I don't hear you singing, I'm going to shut my mic off. But that's not nice. So I'm probably not going to do that. But I want you to remember that feeling from last week when you were helping us out up here, because I really believe that that's how you have the best possible experience of the service. And I realize there's maybe some people in here who've haven't been to a Jewish service in a couple of weeks or ever. And so maybe you feel like, or maybe you don't know the songs. They're in Hebrew. Maybe you don't think that you can participate, but if you catch the tune, and some of them are pretty repetitive, some of them don't actually have words, which means everybody knows the words. Just jump in, right? Just hum along with us. It's not going to hurt anything. In fact, it might even help. And or if you're more into percussion, we put these beautiful wooden drums in front of everybody out there. They look like pews, but really they're rhythm sticks, or the back of your prayer book or something like that. Just please join in. I'll have a great time if you do, and I know you will too. So let's give that a shot. But before we do, or rather while we do, we're going to begin the service as we usually do on Shabbat, as we prepare to enter this cathedral in time. As Rabbi Heschel puts it, we imagine that there are angels that escort us. There are angels that come into our spaces, that bless us, that escort us through Shabbat, and then we see them on their way as honored guests when they depart after the sun goes down tomorrow. And the first thing we say to them is, hello, peace be upon you, Shalom Aleichem. And you can sing along with that song on page 13. Shalom Aleichem, Malachei Asharet, Malachei Elyon. Mi melech Malachei Hamlakim HaKadosh Baruch Hu. Boachem leshalom, Malachei Hashalom, Malachei Elyon. Mi melech Malachei Hamlakim Kadosh Baruch Hu. Baruchuni leShalom, Malachei HaShalom, Malachei Elyon. Mi Melech Malachei Hamlachim HaKadosh Baruch Hu. Tzedchem leShalom, Malachei HaShalom, Malachei Elyon. Mi Melech Malachei Hamlachim HaKadosh Baruch Hu. Together. Tzedchem leShalom, Malachei HaShalom, Malachei Elyon. Mi Melech Malachei Hamlachim HaKadosh Baruch Hu. Just as we increase the song in our hearts, we increase the light in our homes and in our spaces here. We have some lights that were already lit when we got here, but they haven't had a blessing said near them. So I would like to invite up Stephanie and Oliver to say the blessings for the Shabbat candles. No, RJ, I don't know if you can spotlight that side. Excellent. Shkoyach. Amen. Koach, well done. We welcomed angels. We bless God for illuminating our lives with the light of the Shabbat candles. Another way we approach the holiness of this holy day is ascending by means of a sulam. I know we talked about that last week with the sulam that goes from earth up to heaven and the angels going up and down. Our sulam here is in music, and we have psalms and we have songs that allow us to lift up out of whatever was dragging us down this week into a better place. And we start with Lechuna Ranana on page 15, page 15. Lechuna Ranana L'Adonai Naria Letzoishenu Nekadma Fanav Betoda Bizmirot Naria Lo Il Gadol Adonai. Let us sing Tadadai, let us rejoice in our Creator. Let us greet God with thanksgiving, singing psalms of praise. Arba'im Shana Akud Bedo Va'omar Am To'e Levavhem Vahem Lo Yadu Derachai Asher Nishbat Leviapi Im Yivon El Menuchati Ya da 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 16 Ya da 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 Ya da 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 Ya da 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 Shiru Ladonai, Shir Chada, Donai Kolares, Ladonai, Tu Shemo, Basru Meyom Leyom, Yeshuato, Basru, Egoim Kevodo, Bechol Amim, Niflotav Ki Gadol Adonai. Hulal meod, Yorahum, Al Kol Elohim B'Acharim, Yadai, Yadai, We move from that psalm of King David to, let's say, a more modern tune on page 21. This was written merely 500 years ago. It's from the mystics of Sfat, who were finding new ways to connect spiritually to their already ancient tradition. And they said, we can't just go right into evening prayers on a Friday. A Friday night is different. We have to build up to it, and we build up with psalms. That's great, but how do we really welcome in the presence of Shabbat? Maybe we imagine Shabbat visiting like royalty. Maybe we imagine Shabbat visiting like we are standing under the hoop of the wedding canopy, waiting for the bride to walk down the aisle. That feeling is what we greet Shabbat with. And so we have Lecha Dodi, Come My Beloved, on page 21. Lecha Dodi likrat kala, yababai, Pre Shabbat nekavela. Lecha Dodi likrat kala, yababai, Pre Shabbat nekavela. Shamo וזכור בדיבור אחד, השמיענו אל המיוחד. אדוני אחד ושמו אחד, לשמו תפארת ולתהילה. לקראת שבת לכו ונלחם, כי היא מקור הברכה. מראש מקדם נסוכה, סוף מעשה במחשבה תהילה. עליך דודי לקראת קלה, יבבי, פני שבת נקבלה. לך דודי לקראת קלה, יבבי, פני שבת נקבלה. מקדש מלך עיר מלוכה, ומצאי מתוך ההפכה, רב לך שבט ועמק הבכה, והוא יחמול עלייך חמלה, התנערי מעפר קומי, לבשי בגדי תפארתך עמי, על יד בן ישי בית הלקמי, נפשי ועלה לך דודי לקראת קלה, יבבי 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 פני שבת נקבלה, לך דודי לקראת קלה, יבבי 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 פני שבת נקבלה. התעוררי, התעוררי, כי באורק קומי אורי, אורי אורי, שיר דברי, כבוד אדוני עלייך נגלה, לך דודי לקראת קלה, יבבי 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 פני שבת נקבלה. לך דודי לקראת קלה, יבבי יבבי ידדדדי פני שבת לקבלה. או לך דודי לקראת קלה, פני שבת נקבלה. הולך דודי לקראת קלה, פני שבת נקבלה. לא תבושי ולא תקמי, מה תשתוכחי ומה יקמי, בך יכסו עניי עמי, ונבנתה עיר על תלה, והיו למשי סוף שועשייך, ורחקו קומם עלייך, יסיס עלייך אלוהי, כמסוס חתן על כלה. הולך דודי לקראת כלה, פני שבת נקבלה. ימין ושמאל תפרוצי, ואת אדוני תריצי, אל יריש בין פרצים, ונשמחה ונגילה. הולך דודי לקראת כלה, פני שבת נקבלה. הולך דודי לקראת כלה, פני שבת, פני שבת נקבלה. בואי ושלום עטרת בעלם, גם בשמחה ובצהלה, תוך אמוני עם סגולם. בואי כלה, בואי כלה, הולך דודי לקראת כלה, פני שבת נקבלה. דודי לקראת כלה, פני שבת, פני שבת לקבלה. Olecha dodi likrat kala Pnei Shabbat lekavela Olecha dodi likrat kala Pnei Shabbat lekavela. You may be seated if you wish. We conclude this part of the service with one more psalm. It's on page 23. It's good to acclaim Adonai, to sing your praise, exalted God, to affirm your love each morning and your faithfulness each night. Tov lehodot l'Adonai. Tov lehodot l'Adonai. Ulezamer leshimcha elyon. Tov lehodot l'Adonai. Tov lehodot l'Adonai. Tov lehodot l'Adonai. Ulezamer leshimcha elyon. Tov lehodot l'Adonai. Oh, Hagi baboker hasecha. Lechagid baboker hasecha. Ve'emunatcha balelot. Ve'emunatcha balelot. Tov lehodot l'Adonai. Tov lehodot l'Adonai. Tov lehodot l'Adonai. Ulezamer leshimcha elyon. Tov lehodot l'Adonai. Well, Shabbat Shalom, everybody. Once again, welcome to Pasadena Jewish Temple and Center. I think maybe I spoke too soon, or maybe I spoke too much. I'm not sure, but I feel like it's better than last Friday. I feel like I've graduated from like Tom Waits to like a contemporary Neil Diamond, maybe. Like it's getting better. Just now it's got character. So this week in the Torah, in our regular weekly reading, we're reading Parashat Vayishlach. And this, you know, roll your eyes at me. This is one of my favorite scenes in the Torah. And I know I say that about a lot of scenes in the Torah. But this one is especially poignant to me as someone who loves Breshit, who loves Genesis. Like Moses has got a good thing going. He gets like 4 other books, right? But Breshit is what really anchors me in Torah, what redeems me to religious life. I was going to say it redeems the Torah, but that's not very nice, because in truth, it sort of redeemed me on a path of not being interested in Torah, not being interested in these stories of our family. And they are family stories. And that's the coolest part, is that whereas a lot of spiritual paths, including our own sometimes, is about reverence, right? It's about kavod, it's about honor, it's about the inherent dignity of people, but especially the dignity of our of our ancestors, of our forebears, and this idea that to be a religious person, to walk in that interface between the ideal and the real, you should only model perfect people, which is exhausting, right? It, when you imagine that our patriarchs, our matriarchs, any arcs are perfect, as our tradition often gives them the benefit of the doubt that they are, I said, you lose me, right? Because I can't aspire to perfection. I can strive, right? I can always do better. But to put people up on these pedestals is transcendent, but also alienating. And so when I began to realize, because I had really good teachers, that I have access to this narrative and can see it for what it is on its face, really dramatic, occasionally cringy family stories, right? People make mistakes. People have regrets. People wrong one another. And sometimes they learn from those. And I'm like, if they can learn, maybe I can too. And this one scene, and it's like it really sets up some suspense. This is the scene when Yaakov Avinu, Jacob, our ancestor, meets his brother Esau, his brother Esau, for the first time in many, many years. And he doesn't know how it's going to go. Because when last we left these twins, they were, Jacob was leaving home for fear of his life, right? And for good reason. He had some might say swindled. He had listened to his mother, followed this plan, and diverted the lineage of the covenant from Esau to himself, and knowing that his brother, who was the jock of these fraternal twins, was going to have opinions about that, he left town and he stayed gone for 20 years. But now it was time to come home. Now it was time to claim his birthright, claim his destiny that originally belonged to his brother. And his brother was still there. And he didn't know how this was going to go, right? So he was wise about it. It's like wise the way a wise guy is wise. But I mean, he was cunning. He said, okay, here's what we're going to do. First off, I'm way richer now than when I left. So I'm going to take this piece over here. I'm going to take half my wealth and put it over here. I'm going to take half of my wealth and put it over here so he can't grab it all at once. And I'm going to order my children, spouses, the concubines, etc., in sort of order of, favor, like the ones I love go in the back. So if anything shady goes down, there's an order of operation. And he even wrestles with this confrontation. I have a little more to say about that tomorrow. There's this scene the night before he's supposed to meet his brother that he wrestles with this being. He just calls it an ish, just calls it a man. We get other hints about this being that makes it clear that maybe it's not a man. Some people say it's a dream. Some people say it's Esau's guardian angel come to get in the first punch. But he wrestles with this fear. And the next day, he goes out in front of all of his loved ones. So he would take the first punch. And his brother embraces him. and says, seeing your face after all these years is like seeing the face of God. And that turn has always, I'm getting emotional, that turn has always struck me in what is possible on the other side of fear. And I meant to start this story by asking the question, who are you afraid to see? Who are you afraid to see again after maybe a long pause away? Sometimes when we part from people, especially under difficult circumstances, it's not just the distance, it's not just the time that separates us, but that barrier of fear saying, I know how good it could be, but I'm convinced of how bad it will be. And so it's better not to try. This is the same reason I love Abotenu. Because at first I was afraid that I could ever strive for their courage, their wisdom, their foresight, their hospitality, their humility. So I didn't try. And I did. And it was worth it. But you don't know how it's going to turn out. So I want to tell you just briefly in this vein about two bad things that have happened and one good thing that has happened, or rather two bad things that I learned and one good thing that I learned that this story reminds me of. I had a couple of conversations this week which were enlightening when we're talking about this time of reunion, which we are still in. Reunion among our friends here at the temple, reunion of social ways of being, that is still going on. And some people just jump right in, everything's fine. Some people are still holding back, but everybody is in process, I believe. And the two things that I learned about for people in particular circumstances, one was about boundaries, the breaking down of boundaries. One was about the building up of barriers. Well, that's not two bad things. Those guys kind of cancel each other out. But I want to make the distinction between boundaries and barriers. Boundaries are ways that we maintain our dignity. Barriers are how we deny our dignity. When it comes to boundaries, I was talking to somebody in the health field, and they were talking about how many symptoms of people getting exhausted by work or being overworked, especially when it comes to taking care of yourself with sleep, sleeping at the right schedule, eating on the right schedule, exercising on the right schedule, is like, that was not great before COVID. For some people it got better, some people it got worse, but right now it's just terrible. And she was saying that what she's seeing is people who are exhausted, people who are not nourishing themselves, people who are not taking care of themselves, because once that shift happened of people being able to work from home, they no longer live at home. They now live in their office. And she's seeing that breaking down of appropriate boundaries is beginning to rob people of their dignity, of their inborn worth, of their ability to separate between the things that they love, between their livelihood and their family, between putting food on the table and being able to digest it in peace. And so that's one bad thing that somebody pointed out to me. And I don't know if you can relate to that. But the other thing was this sort of building up of barriers. I was talking to someone who was distressed about her, distressed about her health, about not being as active as she once was. And I said, well, what did you, if you were active before, what did you used to do that you can't do now? And she said, well, I used to go walking with my friends. Her particular friend I would go walking with in the evening. And then we stopped because we were legit afraid of each other, just in that early stages where nobody really knew what to expect. But you stop and then it's hard to start again. And then everybody who's in this boundless, or this particular friend is now working well into the nights because of that boundary issue we were talking about. And so that barrier has been erected. And even now it persists, this barrier of people being sometimes, rightly so, there's a flu going around, but that barrier that's kind of created between people. So my question again is, who are you afraid to see now? For whom has it been a while? For whom should it not be a minute longer, but you're scared? And I say fear is appropriate. Esau was a tough guy who had every right, but he didn't. Instead, he embraced his brother. His brother took the risk, and he got the reward. So I encourage you, as you think about what you fear, whom you fear, what disappointment you think you're setting yourself up for, but also what joy you are denying yourself. Ask the question, am I creating this distance? Am I maintaining this distance? Can I safely see them again? If I have boundaries, say, look, last time we had a huge fight, but this is who I am, and I respect who you are, and on that basis, we should be able to talk and maybe even embrace. Can we break down those barriers? I got a text today from a friend who I haven't talked to since the beginning of COVID. And the reason was that we vastly disagreed on the politics of the situation. And I felt guilty for these 2.5, almost 3 years. And thank God he's flying through town this month. And I really look forward to seeing him. I hope he doesn't, punch me in the nose and take my 2 camps of treasure and my 13 kids and my 2 wives and 2 girlfriends. I don't think that's going to happen. His wife's going to be with him, so he'll be cool. If you can build these healthy boundaries while breaking down these unhealthy barriers, who knows what familiar face you'll be able to see. You may, like Esau, even see the face of God. Shabbat Shalom. Thanks again for being here at PJTC. We're going to continue with our evening prayers, the Mari service on page 28. Every week, it's always page 28. And this is our call to blessing the Baruch. It's our custom to rise and face the ark as we join together for the Baruch on page 28. Baruch et Adonai HaMevorach. Baruch Adonai HaMevorach Leolam Va'ed. Baruch et Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam va'ed. Umavir yom umavir laila, umavdil ben yom uben laila, Adonai tzavot shemo. El Chai V'Kayam, Tamid Yimlok Aleinu Leolam Va'ed, Baruch Atah Adonai, Amari Varavim. You may be seated as we continue on page 29, page 29. Avat Olam Beit Yisrael Am Ha'avta Torah u'mitzvot Hukim u'mishpatim Otanu limadetam Al Ken Adonai Eloheinu V'shogveinu kumenu Nasiach v'chukecha V'nizmak v'divrei Toratecha U'v'mitzvotecha Le'olam va'ed Ki hem chayenu ve'orech yameinu ve'orech yameinu Uvehem nege yomam v'layla yomam v'layla V'vatal tasim mimenu le'olamim Baruch atah Adonai Ohev Amo Yisrael. Page 30. Shema Yisrael Adonai Eloheinu Adonai Echad. ואהבת את אדוני אלוהיך בכל לבבך ובכל נפשך ובכל מאודיך והיו הדברים האלה אשר אנוכי מצווך היום על לבביך ושיננתם לבניך ודיברת בם בשבתך בביתך ובלכתך בדרך ובשוקבך ובקומך וקשרתם להיות על ידיך והיו לטוטפות בין עיניך וכתבתם על מזוזות ביתך ובשעריך. Continue at your own pace at the bottom of page 30 and we'll get back together in just a moment. We join together at the top of page 31. Vayomer Adonai el Moshe lemor daber el bnei Israel v'amarta alehem v'asu lahem tzitzit al kanfei vigdehem ledorotam v'nanu al tzitzit hakanaf patil techelet v'haya lachem letzitzit uritem oto uzchartem eko mitzvot Adonai v'asitem otam Velo taturu acharei levavchem v'acharei einechem asher atem zonim acharechem leman tizkeru v'asitem et kol mitzvotai v'item kedoshim lelochechem ani Adonai Elohechem asher hotzeti etchem me'eretz Mitzrayim liot lechem lelohim ani Adonai Elohechem Emet. Continue on page 32. We've blessed God for illuminating our lives. We bless God for the constancy of God's love. Now on page 32, we bless God for God's nature as a redeemer answering us when we call, prompting us to ask the question, who is like you among all who are worshipped? Mi chamocha ba'elim Adonai. Mi kamocha ba'elim Adonai, mi kamocha nedar b'kodesh nora, tehilot oseh felem, malchutecha ראו בניך בוקע הים לפני משה זלים אנו ואמרו זלי אנו ואמרו אדוני אם לא לעולם ועד אדוני אם לא לעולם לעולם ועד. Together. ונאמר כי פרענה יעקב וגלו מיד חזק ממנו ברוך אתה אדוני גאל ישראל. Help us, Adonai, to lie down in peace and awaken us again, our sovereign, to life. Spread over us the shelter of your peace. Hashkivenu on page 33, page 33. Hashkivenu Adonai Eloheinu leshalom behamidenu malkeinu lechaim. Hashkivenu Adonai Eloheinu leshalom behamidenu shomreinu lechaim. Ushmot setenu uvoenu lechaim uleshalom me'ata ve'ad olam. Hashkivenu Adonai Eloheinu leshalom vehamidenu malkeinu lechaim. Hashkivenu Adonai Eloheinu leshalom vehamidenu shomreinu lechaim. Shalom, shalom. Shalom, 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 shalom. Baruch atah Adonai, ha'porasukat shalom aleinu, ועל כל עמו וישראל, ועל ירושלים. Page 34. ושמרו בני ישראל את השבת לעשות את השבת לדורותם ברית עולם. ביי 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 ביני ובין בני ישראל אותי לעולם, כי ששת ימים עשה אדוני את השמיים ואת הארץ, וביום השביעי שבת וינפש. יתגדל ויתקדש שמי רבה, בעלמא דברה קידושי וימליך מלכותי, בחייכון וביומכון ובחיי דכל בית ישראל, בגלה בגלה ובזמן קריב, ואמרו אמן. יהי שמי רבה מבורך לעולם עולם מעלמיה יתברך. יתברך וישתבח ויפאר ויתרומם וינשא ויתהדר ויתעלה ויתהלל שמי לקודשם בריחו לעילא מן כל ברכתה ושירתה תושבחתה ונחמתה דמה רן בעלמא ואמרו amen. We rise for the Amidah for Shabbat evening. It's on page 35b. This is a silent or a private prayer that you can follow along with, and the words on the page and the words in your heart. We'll all get back together in just a little while. When you're finished with your own prayer, you may be seated. Ose shalom bimromav. Hu yaseh shalom aleinu. Ve'al kol Yisrael. Ve'imru. Vimru amen. Yaseh shalom. Yaseh shalom. Shalom aleinu. Ve'al kol Yisrael. Yaseh shalom. Yaseh shalom. Shalom aleinu ve'al kol Yisrael. We conclude the Amidah with the Kaddish Shalem on page 48. Page 48. Yitgadal v'yikdash shemei Rabbah. Be'alma divra kirtei v'yam likmakutei b'chayichon v'yimechon v'chayit kol Beit Yisrael b'agalav v'zman kari v'yimeru. Amen. Yehei shmei Rabbah mevorach le'olam olal me'almaya. Yitbarak v'yishtabak v'yipar v'turman b'naseh v'tadar v'tilei v'tilal shmei kudisha brichu le'elam min kol birchata v'shirata tishbechata v'nechamata tamiran be'alma v'imeru. Amen. Tikabot sor hon about hon de kol Yisrael kodem about hon de v'shmaya v'imeru. Amen. Yehei shlam rabbi min shemaya v'chaim aleinu be'al kol Yisrael v'imeru. Amen. Oseh shalom b'imromav hu yaseh shalom aleinu v'al kol Yisrael v'al kol yoshvei tevel v'imeru. Amen. We begin to end our service with Aleinu, which is on a page, and that page is 51. Page 51. It's our custom to rise. Aleinu l'shabeach ladon hakol, latet gedula liotzer breshit, shelo asanu kagoye haratzot, velo samanu kamishpachot hadamar, shelo sam chelkenu kahem, vegoralenu kecho hamonam, vanaknu korim, umishtakavim umodim, lifnei melech, Malchei Hamlachim Hakadosh Baruch Hu. Shehu notei shemayim v'yoser haaretz u'moshav. כן, לקבל הלכה, אדוני אלוהינו לגרום מהר. המלכות שלך היא, ולעולמיה תמלוך בכבוד, ככתוב בתורתך, אדוני ימלוך לעולם ועד, ונאמר, והיה אדוני למלך על כל הארץ, ביום ההוא יהיה אדוני אחד, ושמו אחד. You may be seated. Before we conclude our service, it's appropriate to remember those who are no longer with us. This week at PJTC, we are marking the yahrzeit, and that's the anniversary of the passing of Muncie Benedict, Esther Bloom, Roger Brown, Earl Carlson, Jules Gerber, Ava Gold, Mildred Gould, Blaine Klein, Israel Nell, Pauline Ledeen, Abel Joseph Martinez, Joseph McCormick, Frederick Rakelin, Ernest Robinson, Kate Frida Shapiro, Rose Skolnick, Lillian Splaver, Meyer Weinberg, and Nadine Zneimer. If you have another name that you'd like to lift up in honor at this time, please say that name out loud wherever you are, or hold the name in your heart and if you are in mourning for anyone or marking a yard site, please rise. And we will all say the Kaddish Shatom, Mourner's Kaddish, with you on page 52. Page 52. Ikidal v'ikdash shemei Rabbah. Balma divra kirute v'amlik malchute v'cheichon u'vyomechon u'chayei dekol beit Yisrael ba'agala u'vizman kariv v'imru amen. Yehei shmei Rabba mevorach leolam alalmei almaya. Yitbarach v'yishtabach v'yitpa'ar v'yitromam v'yitnaseh v'yitadar v'yitaleh v'yitalal shmei dekudesha brihu le'elam min kol birchata v'shirata tushbechata v'nechemata da'amiran bi'alma v'imru amen. Yehei shlama Rabba min shemaya v'chaim aleinu v'al kol Yisrael v'imru amen. Oseh shalom b'imromav uyaseh shalom aleinu v'al kol Yisrael v'imru amen. You may be seated if you wish for just a moment as we get ready to end this service the way we began it, and that's with a beautiful, beautiful song. And I hope you'll join us for that. And like I said, don't forget your percussive instruments in front of all of you. So why don't we go ahead and stand up one last time for Odivo Shalom, and then stick around for Kiddush, would you please? Odivo Shalom Aleinu, Odivo Shalom Aleinu, Odivo Shalom Aleinu ve'al kulam. Odivo Shalom Aleinu, Odivo Shalom Aleinu, Odivo Shalom Aleinu ve'al kulam. Salam Aleinu ve'al kol ha'olam. Salam Shalom, Salam Aleinu ve'al kol ha'olam. Salam Shalom. Odivo Shalom Aleinu, Odivo Shalom Aleinu, Odivo Shalom Aleinu ve'al kulam. Odivo Shalom Aleinu, Odivo Shalom Aleinu, Odivo Shalom Aleinu ve'al kulam. Salam Aleinu ve'al kol ha'olam. Salam Shalom, Salam Aleinu ve'al kol ha'olam. Salam Shalom. Good Shabbos, everybody. So as I said, you're invited to stick around for Kiddush, if you please. I think we have some cups of juice in the back that we're going to, and maybe even wine. I'm not sure if this is a fancy party. But feel free to grab a cup of grape juice or wine as you choose. There's also some bread back there, and everyone is invited to participate. So please grab that. If you're at home, go get a glass of whatever it is you celebrate with. This is to Dr. Pepper, to all my friends in East Texas. Meet us right back here. Oh, we got some good announcements here. We got Sisterhood's Artisan Shook is happening, social justice. There is a puppy party. Are you kidding me? There's a puppy party tomorrow at the USY has the puppy party. What else? There's some good stuff in here. I heard about another. I told about a couple of bad things that happened this week. There was some really good news that I got over the last couple of weeks. I actually missed the board meeting where they were talking about this because I was down with the flu. But I heard, and I don't like spreading rumors, but this is a good one. I heard that the Sisterhood and the Men's Club are getting together with matching funds for, Emily, what's it for? For USY and LBSRS. So as is, everybody in here loves to support the youth in our community. And while I've never seen a real fight between Sisterhood and Men's Club, like they're friends, right? But I think this is like the first time something like this is happening, where the two affiliate organizations of the synagogue are getting together to co-fund this matching fund to make this happen and do all sorts of other activities to make this happen. So that's a real machaya for our youth and for this place and for breaking down the barriers that I'm talking about earlier. So really glad about that. But here I am talking before we eat. So let's go ahead and make Kiddush. Let's see, it starts with the sixth day. Va'erev va'voker yom hashishi, va'hulu hashamayim v'haaretz v'kol tzavam, va'ihal Elohim b'yom hashvi'i, melakto asher asa, va'yishbot b'yom hashvi'i mikol melakto asher asa, va'varek Elohim et yom hashevi'i, va'ykadesh oto, hivo shavat mikol melakto asher bara Elohim la'asot savri chavrai. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam, borei pari hagafen. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam, asher kitshanu b'mitzvotav v'ratzavanu, v'shabbat kodsho be'avav ratzon hinhilanu, zikaron l'maaseh v'reshit, ki hu yom tehila l'mikrai kodesh, zecher l'tziat mitzrayim, kivanu b'charta ve'otanu kidashta mikol ha'amim. Shabbat kodshecha be'ahava uvratzon hinhaltanu, Baruch atah Adonai mekadesh hashabbat. Like my Mimi of blessed memory taught, you should always wash your hands before you break bread. So those at home who wish to wash as you wish, and I'll make a netilat yadayim for all the people who are here. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam asher kitshanu b'mitzvotav v'tzivanu al netilat yadayim. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam hamotzi lechem min haaretz. Shabbat shalom, everybody. Help yourself to some treats in the back. If you want to hang out, I'll be here for a little while longer. But I'm so excited to see you all here for Shabbat. Have a wonderful, wonderful day of rest.